we're getting here into section 8.3, which is properties of logarithms. Please write down these 4 properties. The first one is the logarithm of a product. So if you have log c and then you've got 2 things multiplied together, like x times y, we can break that into log base cx plus log y with a base of c. So it's very similar to our exponent rules, where if you're multiplying 2 things, you would add the exponents. Same kind of idea here. If you're multiplying 2 things, you could break it apart by adding. The next one we have is if you have log of x divided by y with a base of c, you could break that by subtracting. So this would be log x with a base c subtract log y with a base c. So again, if you've got dividing, you can split that using subtraction. Next one, we have a log of a power. So let's say we have log k to the power of y with a base of c. We could bring that power of y to the front and get y times log k with a base c. So that's the logarithm of power. So if you have a power, you can expand it by multiplying the power to the front. Okay, those 2 things are equal. And one more here. The change of base formula, we've already discussed this one. If you have log x base c, you can break this into log x divided by log c, and those would both have a base of 10. So that's our change of base formula that we did discuss last day. Notice that these are very similar to the exponent laws. And one other thing just to add in here, in order to use these laws, you must have the same base. You must have the same bases. Otherwise, you can't use these laws. So for our first example here, we're going to use your properties to expand the following. So here I've got a log base 7, and I see that I have an 8 divided by 21. So one of our laws was that if you see dividing, you can expand it by subtracting. So this would be log 8 with a base 7, subtract log 21 with a base of 7. And that's all we have to do if we're expanding. So we're just expanding it using subtraction. So when we're expanding our next one here, we have a power of 65. So our law says that that power can go to the front. So we'll get 65, and then we'll be left with log 7 base 3. So those are the same. Again, whether you put the 7 to the power of 65, or you bring the 65 to the front and multiply. That would be the expanded version. So in our next example, we're using our properties to change the following log to a single number, and then we're going to evaluate after. So let's start with the first part of this one. I see that I'm adding. How do I condense 2 things that are adding? We multiply, right. So this becomes log of 24 times 6 with a base of 2, and then we'll subtract the log 9 with a base of 2. Now, let's keep going here. 24 times 6 is? 144, thank you. So this is really log 144 base 2, subtract log 9 base 2, and now I'm subtracting. So, how do you condense with subtracting? Divide, if we divide them. So that'll be log 144 divided by 9 with a base of 2. Notice that they both have base of 2, so I can do that. So 144 divided by 9 is 16. So this means we get log 16 with a base of 2. All it's asking me to do now is to evaluate. So in this case, you can think, okay, 2 to what power? 2 to what power gives me 16? 4, right? So my answer to this is just 4. All right, so for our next one here, I see that I have some numbers in front. So we have to start by moving that 3 as an exponent, and the half would be as an exponent. So we'll get log 10 to the power of 3 with a base of 5, subtract log 64 to the power of half with a base of 5. Now let's actually calculate this. Let's calculate 10 to the power of 3. So 10 to the power of 3 is 1,000 with a base of 5. And then 64 to the power of half, remember that's the same as square rooting 64. Power of half is a square root, so we get 8, yes. So log 8 to the power of 5. Now I'm subtracting. What do we do when we subtract? How do we condense it? Dividing, right. So this becomes log of 1,000 divided by 8 with a base of 5. And yes, 1,000 divided by 8 is 125. So we get 125 with a base of 5. Now this is where we should evaluate. So think, okay, 5 to what power gives me 125? 3, right. So my answer to this whole thing is 3. So when you did the change of base formula, you should have got 2.43 for the first one and 4.19 for the next. So for the assignment then, you can work on the handout provided.